Now to the supermarket and a new investigation finding customers are being overcharged.
If you're a senior trying to stretch every dollar, shop smart, and avoid getting swindled at the grocery store, this is the heads up you didn't even know you needed. Because while everything might look normal, the shelves stocked, the carts rolling, the staff smiling, there are some stores that are quietly cutting corners, especially on older shoppers. From sneaky price tricks to frozen foods disguised as farm fresh, not every grocery store deserves the trust you're giving it. And if you're over 60 and still shopping at certain places, the real cost might not show up on your receipt, but in your health and your wallet. Let's begin with a store that sounds like a smart way to save, but often ends up doing the opposite: Dollar General. The name suggests budget-friendly basics, but take a walk down their aisles, especially the freezer section, and you'll see something else entirely. Expired meats, bread with mold growing like moss, produce that looks like it was picked weeks ago. This isn't just bad luck, it's a pattern. In fact, some locations have been fined repeatedly for selling food way past its expiration, sometimes not just days, but months. One shopper opened a can of green beans and found rust around the lid and a brown sludge inside that smelled like old radiator water. Even worse, the refrigeration issues. In multiple inspections across several states, Dollar General's coolers were found running well above safe temperatures. For seniors whose immune systems may be more sensitive, that's not just sloppy storage, that's a real health risk. And while prices might look low, many of their so-called deals are just clever packaging. That $1 item, it might be smaller or worse in quality than what you'd get elsewhere for the same price. You're not saving, you're settling. Now let's talk staffing, or the lack thereof. Most Dollar General stores are barely staffed. One person might be running the register, stocking shelves, and trying to help customers all at once. That means spills stay sticky, questions go unanswered, and the whole place feels like a mess waiting to happen. Walking into Dollar General isn't shopping, it's playing roulette with your health, your patience, and your bank account. Next up, SaveALot. Another store with a budget-friendly name, but inside it's often more chaos than savings. SaveALot tends to set up shop in lower-income areas, often marketing itself to seniors trying to make their fixed incomes stretch. But once you're inside, things start to look less like a grocery store and more like a clearance bin gone wild. The produce section? Halfway to compost. Bananas so bruised they're basically banana pudding. Tomatoes that feel like bean bags. And then there's the meat, vacuum-sealed mystery packs that raise more questions than confidence. Former employees have admitted that SaveALot stores sometimes receive rejected inventory from third-party suppliers, items other chains refused to sell. They're repackaged and relabeled, and yes, sometimes expiration stickers are slapped right on top of the old ones. One ex-worker even said they were told, "If it smells fine, it's fine." That's not a food safety policy. That's playing chicken with your health. And while those cheap prices might be tempting, just remember, hospital visits from spoiled food aren't included in your grocery bill. The store layout doesn't help either. Tight aisles, dim lighting, shelves that are way too tall. Everything feels like it was designed without older shoppers in mind. And the staff? Usually too few and too overworked to assist. If you're looking for help, your best bet might be the broken freezer door. It's the only thing that hasn't moved in weeks. And unfortunately, we're just getting started. And now we arrive at FoodLion, a name that once stood for convenience, affordability, and Southern dependability. It used to be a trusted go-to for many seniors. Tidy, budget-friendly, and easy to get around. But those glory days, they're fading fast. Reports of bad experiences have surged. Prices that were once competitive are creeping up. And worse, some locations have been caught selling spoiled meat and improperly labeled deli goods. In one alarming case, a senior brought home a rotisserie chicken labeled freshly prepared that morning, only to slice into it and find the center still cold and raw. That's not just a ruined meal, it's a serious health hazard, especially for older adults. The deli counter, once a point of pride for the chain, is now a sore spot. Former staff say they're often rushed to prepare food with little regard for hygiene. Meat slicers may go uncleaned between uses, and cross-contamination happens more often than anyone would like to admit. If you're on a restricted diet, brace yourself. You might get a little ham with your turkey, whether you asked for it or not. Meanwhile, other grocery chains are stepping up with senior perks, discounts, designated shopping hours, health-conscious items. But FoodLion, it's falling behind. Their rewards program is anything but simple. Digital coupons tend to glitch at the register, and finding what you need in-store feels like solving a puzzle with half the pieces missing. That's not a senior-friendly environment. That's a headache in a shopping cart. And it doesn't stop there. Some FoodLion locations have even been flagged for serious cleanliness concerns, including mold in the walk-in coolers and dirty restrooms. Mold in a food storage area isn't just gross, it's a respiratory risk, especially for older shoppers with underlying health conditions. These aren't just minor slip-ups, they're red flags waving behind the aisles. So how do stores like this keep their doors open? Simple, they count on habit. Seniors, like many people, tend to stick with what's familiar. If a store is nearby and you've been going there for years, it becomes second nature. But sometimes that familiarity can cost more than just a few extra dollars. When a starts cutting corners, it's your health and safety that end up paying the price. If you've ever stepped into a grocery store and had that gut feeling, something just seems off, you should trust that instinct. Because when it comes to your groceries, your well-being, and your finances, there's no such thing as being too cautious. And if this video has helped you rethink your go-to store, we'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who still believes a low price always means a good deal. We're not done yet. The next two grocery chains might just top everything we've talked about so far, and not in a good way. Because if Dollar General and SaveALot were the opening act, the next stores are the headliners in this ongoing performance of disappointment. For older shoppers, every trip to the grocery store should be a safe, straightforward experience. But instead, some chains seem intent on turning it into a confusing, stressful, and even risky ordeal. Some chains are rolling out what can only be described as a maze of misleading discounts, half-kept promises, and a shopping environment so disorganized, it almost feels intentional. That brings us to Albertsons, a brand name that sounds dependable, refined, and trustworthy. Yet beneath those clean floors and polite overhead announcements, the reality sits quietly on the shelves, sometimes well beyond its best before date. Albertsons has gained a reputation for premium pricing, but many seniors say what they get in return doesn't live up to the cost. Especially for older adults who rely on routine and expect consistent quality, the cracks are starting to show. Take the produce section. At a glance, it may look vibrant and fresh, but a closer look often tells a different story. Wilted lettuce, bendy carrots, celery that's lost its crunch, and avocados so unpredictable they ripen from rock hard to mush in the time it takes to get home. Insiders from the company say there's pressure from management to keep the shelves looking fully stocked, even if that means putting out fruits and vegetables that are barely hanging on. If it looks okay from the top, it gets a pass. But once you dig a little deeper, you find the truth. Browned edges, soft spots, and produce that's on its last leg. Now, you might think packaged goods are a safer bet, but even there, seniors are hitting roadblocks. Shoppers have reported that Albertsons sometimes plays pricing games with their in-store promotions. Take the 2 for $5 deal on pantry items. What many don't realize is that unless you buy both items, the single unit rings up at full price. The catch? It's hidden in tiny fine print that's hard to read and downright impossible for those with vision issues. Unlike some modern grocery stores that use easy-to-read digital tags, Albertsons often sticks with outdated, cluttered paper labels. This turns a quick trip for essentials into a frustrating treasure hunt, where the real cost of an item may not become clear until you're already at the checkout line. Then there's the matter of accessibility, a non-negotiable for many seniors. Things like functioning automatic doors, carts that glide smoothly, wide aisles, and seating areas shouldn't be considered luxuries. They're basic expectations. And yet Albertsons has received criticism from customers for neglecting these essentials. Reports have surfaced of malfunctioning electric scooters left unrepaired, no benches or chairs to sit on, and restrooms that are either locked or posted with out-of-order signs. For seniors with mobility challenges, these issues aren't just annoying, they're potentially dangerous. One customer said they had to leave the store mid-trip because there was no place to rest when their legs began cramping. Another was denied bathroom access during a long shopping visit, only to be told to call the corporate office if they had a complaint. That kind of response drives away loyal customers, especially those already managing medical appointments, limited transportation options, and tight monthly budgets. Customer service is also falling short. When you're lucky enough to find an available employee, they're often juggling a dozen other responsibilities: stocking shelves, manning the register, helping unload deliveries. And for older customers who may need a little extra assistance, like reaching items on high shelves or finding something that's been relocated, the result is often being ignored or rushed. More than one senior shopper has reported feeling dismissed. One described spending nearly half an hour looking for canned soup, only to discover it had been moved to a different aisle for a seasonal store reset. She said it was part of a fall layout. "I just wanted some chicken noodle. I didn't know I'd have to play scavenger hunt." Even store navigation can feel unnecessarily complicated. Aisles are inconsistently labeled. Seasonal promotions take over core product spaces. Essential items like eggs or bread are moved without notice, and there's little signage to help redirect you. For many seniors, whose energy and patience may be limited, this can turn a regular shopping trip into an exhausting task. And we haven't even touched on the checkout experience. Seniors who prefer human interaction often find themselves herded towards self-checkout lanes with minimal staffing. When the self-checkout stalls or an error message pops up, the only available help may be one overworked associate bouncing between 6 machines. Then there's the digital divide. Albertsons, like many chains, leans into apps and online coupon systems. But for many older customers, those tools are more of a barrier than a benefit. If you don't have the app or know how to navigate it, you're likely missing out on discounts that other shoppers are receiving. And that's not just frustrating, it's exclusionary. These aren't just isolated inconveniences. They add up to a pattern of neglect and poor prioritization. While some grocery stores are actively adapting to better support senior shoppers with special hours, clearer signage, in-person support, and simplified rewards programs, Albertsons seems to have missed the memo. At the end of the day, the name on the building means less than the experience inside. And if you're an older adult, shopping should not feel like a chore, a challenge, or a trap. You deserve more than slick marketing and well-dressed displays. You deserve care, clarity, and respect. So next time you walk into a grocery store and feel like something's not quite right, don't ignore that instinct. Trust it. Because when it comes to your food, your health, and your hard-earned money, second-guessing a store's priorities might be the smartest thing you do all week. Now we step into the world of bold yellow signage and familiar blue lettering. Kroger. At first glance, it seems like a one-stop shop. Large stores, loyal customers, and the occasional sale that makes you feel like you're saving money. But underneath the surface, Kroger has quietly earned a reputation among seniors for being one of the most frustrating places to shop. Let's start with the layout. Kroger is notorious for rearranging its floor plans, especially when new seasons or promotional campaigns roll in. For younger shoppers, that might just be a minor annoyance, but for seniors who rely on familiarity and consistency, it's a disorienting experience. One week you find your eggs near the dairy section. The next, they're tucked between cleaning products and pet supplies. And the signage? Often slow to update, leaving older shoppers wandering back and forth just to grab the basics. Instead of a straightforward shopping trip, it begins to feel more like a maze, one that's lit by harsh fluorescent lights that flicker in some areas and feel blinding in others. In contrast, other corners of the store are dimly lit, which only adds to the confusion. For older adults dealing with vision changes or sensitivity to light, this lack of consistency can be overwhelming, even unsafe. To make matters worse, many of the aisles are lined with temporary bins and displays filled with seasonal merchandise. These narrow pathways make it difficult to maneuver a cart, especially for anyone with mobility concerns. Tripping hazards, visual clutter, and a lack of breathing room turn a simple errand into a stressful outing. Then there's the issue of self-checkout. Kroger has made a heavy push toward automation, replacing traditional cashiers with machines that don't always cooperate. The touchscreens lag, barcode scanners glitch, and coupons often refuse to scan. If you need help, you're stuck waiting for the one employee overseeing 6 or more machines, who is usually already overwhelmed. During slower hours, Kroger has even reduced the number of staff checkout lanes altogether, assuming everyone will just use self-checkout. But for seniors who may not be comfortable with technology or who simply want a bit of conversation with a human being, this shift feels like exclusion rather than progress. It's not just inconvenient, it's dismissive. And if you're hoping to save a few dollars with digital coupons, brace yourself. Kroger's app is anything but intuitive. Numerous reviews have complained that it's difficult to navigate, slow to load, and packed with confusing steps. For seniors who aren't used to scrolling through a phone while grocery shopping, it's a major obstacle. Imagine seeing a sale sign for a product you need, only to find out at checkout that you needed to clip the coupon in the app beforehand. Unless you're tech-savvy and already logged in with full access to your digital wallet, you're going to pay full price. That kind of frustration adds up quickly, especially for those on fixed incomes. Even the pharmacy, usually a safe haven for older shoppers, hasn't been spared. Long lines, short-staffed counters, and prescription mix-ups have all been reported. For seniors managing multiple medications, this is more than a hassle. It's a dangerous game of roulette with your health. One wrong pill, one late refill, one miscommunication, and the consequences can be severe. Kroger's in-house products also deserve a closer look. Their Simple Truth brand promotes itself as natural, organic, and clean. The packaging gives the impression of trust and transparency, but several reports and investigations have called that image into question. Some items have been found to contain unclear ingredients, questionable sourcing, and prices that are inflated well beyond what national brands charge for nearly identical products. For seniors trying to eat healthier or manage dietary restrictions, this feels like a bait and switch. You think you're paying a little extra for better food, but sometimes you're just paying extra for prettier packaging. The branding promises one thing, the reality delivers another. When you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, Kroger, much like Albertsons, embodies a troubling trend in modern grocery retail, a focus on profit margins over people, on sleek presentation instead of meaningful service, on automation and apps instead of accessibility and care. They've invested in apps, digital coupon systems, and self-checkout kiosks, but they've forgotten that not everyone is on board with that kind of experience. Many seniors simply want what used to be standard: a clean, well-lit store that's easy to navigate, clear pricing, real cashiers, help when you need it, and a shopping experience that doesn't feel like a challenge from start to finish. Aging doesn't mean giving up on quality or being okay with confusion, inaccessibility, or poor service. In fact, it means the opposite. As we grow older, we should be demanding more, not settling for less. More respect, more clarity, more support. If you're over 60 and finding yourself exhausted after every Kroger trip, you're not imagining it. From layout chaos to app-only discounts, the experience has shifted in ways that don't serve the very customers who help build their loyal base in the first place. So next time you see a cheerful ad about how much Kroger cares, remember that actions speak louder than branding. Pay attention to how the store treats you, especially when things aren't working the way they should. And if this video resonated with you, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and share it with a friend who's still fighting with that blinking self-checkout screen. Because when it comes to grocery shopping, convenience should never come at the cost of comfort, clarity, and care. If you're a senior watching this, or someone who shops for a loved one in their golden years, pay close attention to how a grocery store treats you when things go wrong. It's in the little details. The confusing sale label, the absent cashier, the maze-like aisles. Those are the moments when a store reveals its true priorities. And when it comes to chains like Albertsons and Kroger, those polished surfaces are starting to lose their shine. Let's wrap this up by looking at two final stores that might shock you. These chains look polished. They're well lit, organized, and packed with cheerful promotions. But don't let the clean floors and curated music fool you. Behind the attractive facade are serious issues, especially for senior shoppers. We'll begin with Safeway. Even the name implies security and care. Safe is right there in bold letters. But what many older customers have found is that the safety and care stop at the branding. One of the most common complaints from seniors shopping at Safeway: inconsistency. One day you can find everything on your list, the next day it looks like the place just finished a clearance sale after a hurricane. Essentials missing, shelves half-stocked, and what is available often seems just shy of expiration. Milk with 2 days left, bread already stiff at the edges, and rotisserie chickens that feel like they've been sitting under the heat lamp for hours, cold in the center and dry everywhere else. Grocery shopping shouldn't feel like gambling, but for seniors on fixed incomes who depend on routine and reliability, Safeway turns the simple act of buying groceries into a guessing game. Let's talk prices. Safeway promotes its loyalty card and digital discounts as tools to help you save. But here's the trick. Those discounts are often tied to inflated original prices. Without the card, or worse, if you forget to clip a digital coupon, you might find yourself paying $5 or $6 more for an item just because they tapped their phone screen. It's not savings. It's a loyalty program built on penalties. This is especially unfair to seniors who may not own smartphones or prefer not to share their phone numbers at checkout. The system isn't designed for simplicity. It's designed to look generous while quietly squeezing more out of less tech-savvy shoppers. Now, behind the scenes, things don't improve much either. Former employees have come forward describing chronic understaffing that leaves departments unattended. That means unclean deli counters, improperly rotated products, and long waits for assistance. Seniors needing help reaching an item or asking about a substitution are often left alone or rushed through the interaction. There's no time for customer care when one employee is managing an entire section. One of the more alarming concerns? The deli counter. Known for its ready-to-go meals, pre-sliced meats, and hot sandwiches, it's a popular stop for seniors wanting a break from cooking. But reports from staff suggest that proper end-of-day cleaning routines are skipped. Meats and cheeses might be stored overnight without being properly sealed, only to be refreshed the next morning with a new top layer. That leads to rubbery textures, off smells, and rapid spoilage. For seniors with immune issues, this isn't just disappointing, it's dangerous. And then there's the pharmacy, a place that should be one of the most reliable, especially for older adults who depend on consistent prescriptions. But delays in filling orders, lost medications, and overwhelmed pharmacy staff have become recurring issues. One senior described waiting in line for 20 minutes only to be told their refill had disappeared from the system. In an environment where every pill matters, we're not sure what happened is not just unacceptable, it's terrifying. So if Safeway makes you feel more like you're dodging landmines than finding peace of mind, you're not alone. And unfortunately, we're not finished. Our final stop is Whole Foods. Yes, Whole Foods. The one with the stylish interiors, the minimalist signs, and the fresh-cut flowers that make the store feel more like a boutique than a supermarket. But don't let the aesthetic fool you. Underneath the calming music and expensive labels is one of the most misleading grocery experiences out there, especially for seniors. Let's start with what's on the tag: price. Whole Foods has never been known as budget-friendly, but the real issue isn't just how much everything costs, it's what you're paying for. Seniors might walk in expecting better quality for the higher price tag, only to discover that many of the items, especially pre-packed fruits, snacks, and vegetables, come from the same distributors used by regular stores. You're not paying for quality, you're paying for design. A container of sliced melon that costs $3.50 elsewhere might run you $6 or more here. Multiply that for a week's worth of groceries, and suddenly a fixed-income household is stretching beyond reason. Then comes freshness. Whole Foods markets its items as local, fresh, and ethically sourced. But multiple former employees have revealed that many items labeled as local actually come from large regional warehouses or third-party distributors. In some cases, local means hundreds of miles away. Not only is that misleading, it undermines the very reason many seniors choose Whole Foods in the first place. And that iconic seafood display. Watchdog organizations have found that some fish sold as fresh is actually previously frozen, then thawed, and displayed as premium. Older shoppers looking for clean, healthy proteins could unknowingly be picking up days-old fish passed off as just caught. The hot bar, once a crown jewel of Whole Foods convenience, is now facing criticism of its own. Seniors often enjoy a warm, ready-made meal without the effort of cooking. But reports suggest that food from the night before sometimes gets reheated and reseasoned for the following day. Food logs for temperature checks go unsigned, quality dips, and cost. By weight, one plate of hot food can rival a steakhouse entree. That's not comfort. That's a $15 gamble on lentils and overcooked tofu. Even the store layout, praised for its visual charm, works against shoppers who need predictability. Long, winding aisles, odd product groupings, not enough seating or rest areas. The carts are smaller, less stable, and awkward for anyone using mobility devices. For seniors who need to pace themselves or take short breaks, shopping becomes physically draining. So where does this leave us? 7 grocery chains, 7 different ways that senior shoppers are being overlooked, underserved, and in any cases, exploited. From shady pricing schemes at Dollar General to the polished illusion of quality at Whole Foods, the patterns are clear. Some stores don't value their older customers the way they should. And the consequences go beyond mild inconvenience. For seniors, grocery shopping is about independence. It's about access to good food, safe service, and the dignity of navigating the world with respect. But when corners are cut, systems are rigged, or help disappears altogether, the costs pile up, in stress, in wasted money, and sometimes in medical risk. So here's the good news. You have the power to choose. Awareness is the first step. Recognizing the signs, calling out the issues, and sharing what you've learned helps other seniors avoid the same traps. It also sends a message to the grocery industry: do better. Seniors deserve more than corporate slogans and loyalty apps. They deserve stores that are built with them in mind. Clean layouts, real savings, honest food, and staff that treat them with care. Because in this game, not every deal is really a deal. Sometimes it's just a warning, dressed up in pretty packaging. If this video helped you or someone you care about, please hit like, tap subscribe to Behind the Barcode, and share it with a friend who still thinks a club price always means savings. Because in today's grocery game, the truth is the only thing not marked up. And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.